Everyone, today's August 19th, 2022, and we have yet another high warning time frame connecting to iPad Goat 2. Before I get into that, I just want to recap a little bit about tomorrow and a couple new connections that I found for tomorrow. I made a previous video talking about this movie Dead Presidents because it's 322 months and 22 days apart. Its release date to tomorrow, and that's the number of Skull and Bones. And I also found all these interesting connections with George Bush, 322 connections as well, and he is a member of Skull and Bones. So it's the 232nd day of the year. You have a 322 connection to his dad, George H.W. Bush, and H.W. Bush also had a 322 connection to the release date of the movie Dead Presidents as well. And I recently also discovered that we have a perfect 9/11 connection with George Bush's Decision Points, his book being published, and also the USS George Bush aircraft carrier held a naming ceremony this day. We have a 9/11 connection to that, and the date that the USS George Bush launched, and also a perfect 322 backwards, 223 months apart from the day the U.S. invaded Iraq because of 9/11 when Bush was president. And again, if you haven't seen my other videos, the reverse in parentheses means just reverse these dates, 8/20 over here and 12/9. It's easier to understand if I just put it in parentheses. And of course, I mentioned before this prime number connection to Yale being founded, upside down 9/11. Yale is where Skull and Bones is from. And something else I also discovered since a couple days ago, this 322 connection to the death of H.W. George Bush. Of course, I mentioned he died on Kislev 22, which is 322 on the Jewish calendar. But there was something happened on January 8th, 1992, where he actually vomited on the Japanese Prime Minister in Japan. And look, we have a perfect 322 connection to when that happened and the day he died. He actually fainted as well after doing that. But I also tried to look up the date that Skull and Bones formed. There isn't any that I'm aware of on the internet, a specific date. But the closest I could narrow it down was December of 1832. And then I tried to figure out what would be the most likely date that they formed. And I believe it was probably December 14th, 1832. It makes sense because it was 322 on the Jewish calendar. And it was also the 33rd anniversary since George Washington's death. And Washington was a Freemason, and their number is 33. So, and then looking further, you had this perfect 322 connection with the dates reversed to the day, if this was the day Skull and Bones formed, to George H.W. Bush's death. So I found that interesting as well. So, getting into this image again from iPad Goat 2, which I decoded in other videos talking about the LC, and I mentioned that this represented this year's flower moon eclipse. The first full moon of May is always called the flower moon. And this year, we had that on May 15th and the 16th. And that was Buddha Day, and Buddhism can be related to the lotus flower here blooming out of the apple. And that was also the 137th and 138th day. And if you look at the Heliofont website, you can see this blooming out of the apple at the 1 minute and 37, 1 minute 38 mark. And talked about some other reasons why this year was related to that. And how these letters next to the apple like coincide with this eclipse. Like LC is 123, it's the 12th letter and third third letter here, or its upside down third letter, and the number 7. So 37 days after this happened, this eclipse, we had 1,000 killed in Afghanistan earthquake. So once again, we have another 37 connection. C7 is 37 for August 22nd and August 23rd. So before I get into the 22nd and 23rd, I want to talk about August 21st. I have all these connections to blackouts, or possible connections with a cyber attack, as well as the 22nd and 23rd. And technically, this does connect with the flower moon eclipse. If you include the end date, it still would be 3 months and 7 days apart. Up top, you have the backwards 9/11 connection with the founding date of U.S. Cyber Command. Back in 2019, I remember 3 or 4 blackouts, especially the one June 13th, 2019, the big one in New York City, had a 9/11 connection with its founding date. However, actually, they changed it. It used to be June 23rd, 2009 on Wikipedia, and that's the date that connected to those blackouts. And since then, we have the May 21st, 2010. And these are the last 9/11 connections to that founding date for a while. But we also have this movie called American Blackout, a 322 connection, a date that Leon Panetta warned of a cyber attack, a cyber Pearl Harbor that's coming. He used to be director of the CIA. And we also had a cyber attack exercise called Cyber Polygon last year, and we have 322 days apart with the dates reversed. Remember that big blackout in the Northeast in the U.S. in 2003? We have the 9/11 connection with that. Not only that, cyber attack equals 71, reverse full reduction, and we have a numerology of 71 on that date. And here's just a few other connections that I'm throwing in here. This connection to Captain America Civil War movie and the date the Revolutionary War was fought. I could see if I'm wrong about Bush and it actually has to do with Trump on August 20th, then we could see something like that, definitely. But sometimes I have connections every single day, but I don't want to talk about them every day. I just try to pinpoint the days that seem like the most likely for something. But anyways, I want to talk about the 22nd and 23rd now, because again, you can include the end date, and you do have this 9/11 connection with U.S. Cyber Command being founded, the World Wide Web 322 connection, a movie called American Blackout, another movie called American Blackout, the 9/11 322 connection, the date of the largest blackout that ever took place back in July 30th, 2012. That was in India. It affected 640 million people. It was the most widespread blackout in history. Then, of course, we also have another 9/11 connection to that Northeast blackout in the U.S. And the date, the movie Lights Out released on June 8th, 2016. 322 connection to that. And not only that, the word blackout equals 22 in full reduction and 131 reverse ordinal. And look at this. It's the 22nd, of course, with 131 days remaining. And some other things, we have this connection with FEMA. And I was wondering if a hurricane or anything was going to cause it, because we have this 52 numerology. We're in hurricane season. The date equals 52. Hurricane equals 52. Flood equals 52 and 25. It's also the 25th on the Jewish calendar and the 25th on the Chinese calendar. So for the past week, I've been watching to see if any hurricanes were forming in the Atlantic, and I just noticed a possible tropical storm forming very soon in the Gulf of Mexico, so we'll see what happens with that. And the 23rd, now this one has the most direct connections with the movie American Blackout, with no end date included. Perfect 322 connection, 191 months and 1 day. And a perfect 322 connection when the movie Lights Out released in U.S. theaters. And once again, the 9/11 connection to the largest blackout ever, and as well as the Northeast in the U.S. And this one has 9/11 connection to the iPet Goat 2 release date. And I'm throwing this in here because 69 years, 69 days seems like that could mean something connecting to the president of China. We'll have to see. But I also want to touch on something else that could relate to the dates, the 22nd and the 23rd. It has to do with the lightning striking near the White House on August 4th on Barack Obama's birthday. And Barack means lightning. And exactly 14 days later, after Obama's birthday and this lightning strike, a Florida mother becomes the 14th U.S. lightning fatality this year. 14 days later. And Obama equals 14. So I recently saw this decode on Joseph Aquaviva's YouTube channel, and I wanted to throw this in here because I think it might fit in with these dates, 22nd and 23rd, because now Barack, as I said, equals lightning. It also equals 18, and 18 days later we have the 22nd. But I also want to show you something else. These images from iPet Goat 2. You see the lightning right next to Obama. Then the next time they show Obama, he's got the letter V on his forehead, and V is the 22nd letter. And he's looking down at this apple splitting. His perspective is this way, so he's seeing the C and the 7. He's seeing 37. As I said, the 22nd is 3 months, 7 days after this flower moon eclipse, as well as the 23rd, because it was the 15th and the 16th that this took place. Then, in the same scene, we zoom out, and right after zooming out, we see lightning again, and it shows the number 23. In August 23rd was the 11th anniversary of an earthquake, a 5.8, which damaged the Washington Monument. It was 84 miles southwest of Washington, D.C., which is kind of interesting because 8/4, August 4th, is Obama's birthday. So we'll see how this connects, but I think this might have to do with possibly a blackout because lightning, electricity, and I just want to show you this. I talked about watching for a hurricane and the hurricane possibly forming in Gulf of Mexico. And it looks like around Sunday, August 22nd, is when this will make landfall. Now, I don't know how severe it's going to get, but as I said, we have numerology on the 22nd of a hurricane and flooding as well. So, alright, I guess that's all I got for this video. We'll be watching to see what happens, and we'll talk to you guys next time.